Greetings, everybody. This is Brother Ravana Noon back once again with a new video. This one is how to prepare for Tantra and sexual magic, specifically VAMA-MARGA Tantra and sexual magic. Many people are under the conception that to have sex magic, you could just go in there, freestyling, bang it out, smash it out, and you get the results you want. Just like anything else with magic or sorcery, you always have to prepare for it. You always have to prepare for the job at hand. And just how you would consecrate your tools, your altar, purify, things of that nature, is the same thing you have to do with sex magic. It's not just jumping in there and getting freaky and that's it. So, one of the main things that's important is cultivating and nourishing and activating your sexual energy. You, first of all, should be eating healthy. You should be exercising daily, if not daily, at least 4 times a week. It is prescribed, though, by more recent studies that you should at least be active 60 minutes a day. Whether that's walking, jogging, running, biking, weightlifting, whatever the case may be, it is beneficial for your health to be active at least 60 minutes a day. Eating right, eating healthy is going to be different to every person, every individual. That's based upon your DNA, that's based upon your culture, that's based upon whatever you feel or believe. But do not, as the brother Immortal Technique says, do not make your diet a religion. And that's people do that too commonly, and then they try to pass off their faith and beliefs and opinions on other people, and you may be destroying that person, not helping them. So, whatever is healthy to you, whatever research you do that you find is healthy for you, that's what it is. Proper breathing is essential when you're preparing for Tantra and sexual magic. If you breathe like a freaking sick individual with mouth always open and constantly mouth breathing, 9 times out of 10 you have a low level of health. Proper breathing is in your nose and out your mouth. Particularly when you deal with Tantra, yoga, things of that nature. Now, in the left-hand path, we utilize some of the Eastern arts, such as VAMA-MARGA Tantra, which is left-hand path Tantra, as opposed to some of the other right-hand path Tantras that vary. And I'm going to, at this moment, because I brought it up, define the difference between the two. Left-hand path Tantra is about breaking taboos. It's about breaking borders, boundaries, and limitations. It is about, yes, cultivating your energy, charging up your sexual energy, nourishing it, and then releasing it at the proper time with a select person in an act of coitus or intercourse. Whereas right hand path Tantra, a lot of it is never releasing your sexual energy and just cultivating it for yourself and never really getting into a sexual interaction with anybody. It always baffled me because some of these fools who promote this have wives and they get real spooky and say all these things, but I know you banging out your wife or smashing it. You can't tell me otherwise, because no woman or man's going to sit there and say, oh, yes, honey, you're so spiritual, I'm going to let you just zone out and become a hermit and never have sex with me again in your life. Man, you must be crazy. You tripping, straight tripping, dude. But anyways, for those who want to be fluffy, go ahead and do it. So, I'll say this. I prescribe left-hand path Tantra, which is breaking your borders, boundaries, limitations of your sexual hang-ups within bounds, within legal bounds, and cultivating your sexual energy, charging it, and releasing it in the act of coitus or intercourse at the prescribed time that you choose with the select person you choose. You just can't be out there screwing everybody. That's why I'm kind of selective when I share sexual magic or VAMA-MARGA tantric information, because people just want the knowledge of how to be such whatever they want to be sexually, and are not selective with it. So basically you're doing it for nothing because you're damaging and hurting yourself. First of all, the person that you meet should be somewhat healthy. It is your choice if you want to involve them in the act. If they are with the occult, if they're into VAMA-MARGA Tantra or Tantra, it's even better. But if they're not, it's a tricky situation, but you don't always have to involve them when it comes to sex magic, left-hand path sex magic, Tantra and things like that, especially vampiric magic. Sometimes you don't have to involve them. It's just about absorbing the energy and utilizing it to raise yourself to a higher awareness and higher state of consciousness, which is awareness, and activating your subconscious and learning to tap further into that. But it's not always necessary to let the individual know. People may disagree with that. I personally don't care what you agree with or disagree with. That's your personal opinion. Just from my experience, you don't always have to involve them, but it's better if you do. So be selective. Don't see this, ladies. You see this dude and he's like sexual chocolate #1. And you going crazy. Your vag is just bouncing off the walls. Your yoni just like throbbing. Just because he look all good and sexy doesn't mean that he's the right one for you. You should first of all know a little bit about this individual. Is he dirty, like straight dirty? Or does he take care of himself, and eat healthy and exercise and detoxes or whatever? Check those things out. Don't just get horny and just say, fuck, I'm going to bypass everything and just go straight jugular with it and just go straight freaky with it. And then you jeopardize and put yourself in jeopardy. Don't do that. That's not going to be beneficial for you. You may think it is because you're getting your nut on, your freak on, but no. Sad cases, probably estimated due to clinical psychological studies, probably 85% of women have never had an orgasm. Ever. They've nutted, they've came, but that's a whole different ballgame. Orgasm's on a whole nother level. And unfortunately, people mistake the two. When they have their first orgasm, sometimes they end up falling in love with the individual because he actually got you to have an orgasm, or she got you to have an orgasm, or if you're a lesbian or whatever, she got you, female, to explode like never before, but did you orgasm? Very rare. It happens. You nut, but when you orgasm, sometimes you fall in love with that individual because that's the first orgasm you ever experienced. And a real orgasm is more on a conscious, spiritual level as well as on an emotional level. Sometimes will come out of that situation. That's why you always got to check your emotions whenever you're dealing with sex magic or VAMA-MARGA Tantra, unless your partner, significant other, husband, wife is in one accord with you and walking the same or similar path. Then you got it all good. But it's very important. So, how do you cultivate your sexual energy? Let's get into that subject now. For years, I'm talking about years, way back in the 90s, I studied a lot of Tantra, Taoist philosophies when it came to cultivating your sexual energy. And what I found is this. Some of it is on point, some of it is a little extreme. I'm just being real with you. But one of the best individuals that was out there was right here in Florida, right here in the United States, was an African American brother, which was Sunyata Saraswati. And he has a book, Jewel in the Lotus. Jewel in the Lotus. And that book by Sunyata, let me show you the name at the bottom. Sunyata Saraswati. That book is very powerful, very profound. And it's important for some individuals seeking to really get deep into VAMA-MARGA, VAMA-MARGA Tantra, sexual magic, to really study this book on how to cultivate your sexual energy, because it's more important than you realize. For example, one of the most important practices you can do as a man or woman is the bandha locks. The bandha locks are basically techniques utilized moving certain muscles or points of your body in a repetitive way to actually release the bent up or held back sexual energy and spread it throughout your body. So, for example, ladies, and then brothers, I'll get to brothers, but ladies, take your yoni, your vagina, and flex it. Another way to say it is squeeze it repetitively throughout the day. Now, you may get a little aroused by this, but that means the sexual energy is actually starting to circulate. Focus it towards the bottom of your vagina, closer to the perineum, and flex it. Squeeze it tight, loosen it throughout the day. That bandha lock, which is the root bandha lock, is so effective in spreading and releasing sexual energy throughout your body and activating certain hormones that help with reduction of stress, anxiety, and is a kind of healing hormone, which is oxytocin. It helps release that because the bandha lock actually generates from the root but vibrates all the way to the crown. And between the brow and the crown is the pineal and the pituitary. And the pituitary really secretes a lot of these hormones throughout your body to help heal, relieve stress, and actually help with your arousal. Practice this daily. Do not take a day off. Practice this daily because it is essential to cultivate your sexual energy. What's happening is that it's almost like a pump. The more you do that, it's pumping the energy up from the root and it sending it up through your chakras and other glands of your body northward. And what's important is that that energy is now cultivated throughout your body, nourished throughout your body, and keeps you at a higher state of arousal. So when the time comes, you release that energy in the act of coitus, oral sex, whatever the case may be. It actually helps break through blockages and obstacles to reach a greater state of consciousness, a greater state of awareness, which also allows you to, in that process, tap into your subconscious mind where a lot of this is repressed and held back in, and a lot of your programming conditioning is at. It's essential, ladies, that you practice this. Brothers, the same thing with you. With you all, it's the same thing. You have the perineum, which is right underneath the ball sack, okay, and before the hole of the anus. That fleshy part right there is called the perineum. you flex that. You could actually flex that. It's almost like when you have to urinate and you hold that urination, you're actually utilizing that muscle to hold the bladder and the penis from actually releasing the urine. So now you don't have to urinate. Let's just say you're doing this, cultivating it throughout the day. You keep flexing that. At first, it's going to be weak, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be very weak. But the more you practice, you're going to feel it getting stronger, and your control over that muscle is going to become stronger, and you're going to feel the sexual energy increasing. Practice every day. You can practice that sitting down, okay? And when you practice this sitting down, you should be sitting up, your spine straight. Breathe in your nose and out your mouth deeply. You got to continue breathing in your nose and out your mouth deeply while you're doing this exercise. That's an important part. The pranic energy is running through your body at the same time that you're cultivating the sexual energy and activating. So you sit up with your hands on your palms on your knees, and you squeeze. And you'll feel it. You're going to feel a little tingling, a little arousal. You're doing it right. Another way is you can be like on your knees with your heels in back of you, and you sit on your heels, and it's like one of your heels is right there in that area, which is giving it extra stimulation. You breathe, and you flex the perineum. That root bandha is the most important bandha when it comes to sexual magic in VAMA-MARGA Tantra. So when you utilize that technique with the breathing, the pranic breathing, you'll start to feel the difference. Now, for those who I'm giving personal classes to, get this book, because this is where we're going to start coming from. See, the first few sessions was just to get to know you, see what areas, etc., etc. Now we can focus on a curriculum. Get this book. I don't charge for my classes. I have my own business. I'm a professional businessman. About to open a second business. I need nothing from anyone in terms of finances or anything for knowledge, the occult, whatever the case may be. Consultations are free. I don't feel that. I'm just not into charging people for things that to me is I don't need. I understand, but anyways, different story. So work that every day. Every day, do not stop working that. Practice pranic breathing deeply every day. It helps heal your body and keeps the blood circulating throughout your body and purifying the impurities out of your blood. Now, when you're in the act of sex, you want to make sure that you pay attention to each other. Your erogenous zones. Find out your partner's sensitive zones that causes arousal in them. Male, female, 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 male, male. That's irrelevant to me. I'm just sharing in general without genderizing, because genderizing is why we're in this crap today with the gender wars and these stupidities. And before all that, the original beings on this planet were androgynous. Some call them hermaphrodites. They were androgynous. Okay? They had both male and female genders in one body. They had both masculine and feminine energy in one body. It was harmonized. Now we have the masculine and feminine energy without the other gender physically, and we have a war within ourselves and outside of ourselves, as if we're actually defeating each other when we're supposed to be coming and working with each other. But anyways, find each other's erogenous zones, whether it's the hips, can be erogenous zones for some females, even some males. You'd be surprised, even the knees touched a certain way, kissed a certain way can cause an arousal, getting turned on, getting horny, whatever the hell you need to get you by the day for these definitions is all good. Sometimes even kissing the ankle. It depends. You have to really be in tune with the individual you're working this with. Because if you want to reach a greater state of consciousness, you have to be willing to be invested in the process and be invested with the partner that you're working with this. Don't just use that partner and just get your freak on, screw, and then that's not real Tantra, that's not real sex magic. That's just called fucking, for lack of a better word. You could twist it, make yourself feel like you're superior and doing some hot shit because you put magic behind it. Nah. It's an act. And the act has to be total involvement in yourself with the partner, even if they're aware of your sex magic or your tantric techniques or tantric or sex magic practices. You can still be vested in your partner by giving yourself over to the process and giving into the process of finding out what arouses them. Take your time. Yo, for real, take your time. I don't know what some of this young generation be doing. Y'all crazy ass people. Take your time, man. First of all, a quick story. I said this on one of my last videos. Some of y'all caught it, some of y'all didn't. When I was younger, and I'm talking about 80s and 90s, okay? Brothers, African American brothers, y'all were known for eating pussy. I mean, I'm just being straight blunt. I remember most of my friends were African American, Jamaican, or Trinidadian, okay? And Puerto Rican. A lot of brothers was like against eating pussy. Y'all was like, yo, I don't do that. That's nasty. That's this is that. We Puerto Ricans up north was always known as freaking Ricans. And one of the reasons they called us freaking Ricans or freaky Ricans was because we was one of the only few select that used to eat pussy. And we was good at it because we learned that is one way you could really turn on a woman and arouse her arousal levels increase tenfold than just sticking it in. I be seeing some of these dudes and what they describe, and I'm like, that's not oral sex, nigga. That's like you eating lunch and just chomping down and not even conscious of what your partner's feeling or not feeling. Nah, you take your time with that too. Listen, man. Here's the golden lotus technique. I'll just say this real quick. The clitoris. Yes, main focus, brothers. The clitoris. You lick around the clitoris and under the fold of the clitoris in a counterclockwise way or clockwise way. Your choice, whatever you feel good with. And while you're doing that, you can take this finger and tickle the perineum or touch it softly in a repetitive pattern. That is the sexual center that sends waves to the G-spot. Okay? So take your time in the act. Why are y'all rushing? What are you setting, a marathon? Oh, I'm gonna blow her brains out. I'm gonna blow her back out in 10 minutes. Okay, so what? You accomplished what by that? She came. She's still bent up and frustrated because she never really experienced an orgasm. You got your nut on, bro. So you feel good, like you Hulk Hogan or something, superior. Or you like some He-Man. That didn't do nothing. You didn't accomplish nothing. You just accomplished a nut. It's a whole nother level when you can make a woman orgasm, bro. I'm just being real. Take it from a brother who's been around for a minute, all right? A brother who experienced a lot of things. That's a whole nother level. Now, as you are into each other and you tune into each other, you will see that there's a moment in that act where you lose your identity. And I don't mean lose it like you're never getting it back. I mean the two of you are becoming one. One. Alright? The two of you becoming one at that moment, and you will feel it when you just merge into that moment. So when you get to that point, that's when your transmission of your desire, your intention should be I should say you at that moment you could oralize it. What I mean by that is you can state your intention or desire verbally, mentally, and release it. If your partner's aware or not aware, that's the moment to do it. If you're all aware together, you do it at that moment. If they're not aware, then you do it. You might not want to verbalize it. You may just say it mentally. That is when you reach a peak where that intention and desire can be catapulted further into the astral that can eventually manifest into the physical. So there's a lot of different ways to really get involved with VAMA-MARGA Tantra or sex magic. I can't keep stressing this enough. You gotta get yourself right. You gotta work on your sexual energy and get your sexual frequency and vibration correct. Because, listen, you can spill your seed wherever you want, brothers. I'm not the one that's going to tell you what to do or not to do with it. But the more you cultivate it, the more you elevate that sexual energy and make that seed more potent. When you use it for sex magic, VAMA-MARGA Tantra, it is powerful. If you are seeking to have children, even more powerful. You understand, it's the technique behind these things. Brothers, when your penis gets erect, okay, flex it. Flex it, flex it, flex it. Move it. These are all exercises to strengthen your penis, to strengthen your stamina, and to channel and circulate the sexual energy and flow. Flex it, and then release it. Flex it, release it. You can do it repetitively, really fast, or you could slow it down and flex it, hold it for like 15 seconds, release it. It will make you more potent. It will make your stamina a lot better. And it will increase your energy. Sisters, if you're not already doing this, when you're in the act of coitus, flex it around the man when he's within you. Flex it. Because it's a pumping mechanism where you're also helping him raise his sexual energy as well as yours. So, you have to be willing to be invested in the process. You have to be willing to do your research and study and cultivate your sexual energy before the prescribed time of your choosing for the act of sex magic or the act of VAMA-MARGA Tantra. Now, earlier I said VAMA-MARGA Tantra is the left-hand path of Tantra. Well, that basically means it's a path of individuated consciousness, elevation, and a path of becoming the God. Not worshiping the god, the goddess, but becoming the god or the goddess. That means becoming Kali, or becoming Shiva, or becoming Shakti. Learning to merge the masculine and feminine energy into one, till you become androgynous in a spiritual sense. You can't do it physically no more. You can operate, do all that. That's not the point. That's something completely different. But within you, you can become androgynous by harmonizing the masculine and feminine into one. You have to really go deeply within your programming and conditioning as well before you get into sex, magic, VAMA-MARGA, Tantra. You really have to deal with a lot of your issues. If you still feel like you are in a gender war, this might not work for you. If you feel like homosexuality, lesbianism, bisexualism is wrong, it's whatever, this might not work for you. But as you further travel along the path of occultism, the path of left-hand path Tantra, left-hand path in general, there's a lot of things that are going to be presented to you and a lot of ways that are going to be presented to you. Some of you are going to accept, some of that you're not. That's everybody's personal thing. But you have to expand your mind and address your feelings about certain things. What are your feelings about certain acts, sexual acts? You understand? Some women are not into the anal thing. Some women are. You cannot force it upon an individual. You have to respect what they like or don't like. But those things have to be discussed within yourself and with someone else if you're going to be in the act of coitus. You just can't force your wants and desires on a person sexually like that, because that you're getting borderline rape to complete rape. That is unacceptable. So discuss these things within yourself. What are your likes, dislikes? What are your perversions? What are your what are your perversions? What are your hang-ups? What are your things like that? You have to be real with yourself when you involve yourself with sex magic. You got to be really real with yourself. You can't come up and be like, okay, I just want the missionary position and we're just going to be lovely and dandy like that. No, because everybody's different. Some people are going to want doggy style. Some people are going to be like, ride me, girl. Some people are going to be like, yo, let me hit, there's different ways. But you have to be real with yourself and honest with yourself. Address those hang-ups. Why do you feel the way you do about sex? Is it joyous one moment and then guilt-bound next moment? Really check yourself on that. Because there's something that happened way back that has caused hang-ups and sexual repression. And I'm of the opinion that a lot of the world's problem is because people are sexually repressed and have hang-ups. And they can't find a way to release it, so they become violent, aggressive in different ways like that. That's just my personal opinion. Agree with it or not, I don't care. Work it. Also, last note before I get off on here today. Y'all, listen. The reason I left New York, I left Connecticut, is exactly what's happening today. Y'all cold up there. Y'all been cold, getting snowstorms recently. According to my mom, who's still in Connecticut, they just got hit with a snowstorm yesterday. However, it was 81 degrees here yesterday, the day before today, 77. The rest of next week, 82, 84, 86, 84, 84. Sunny, sunny, sunny. I'm not with shoveling snow. That was a thing of the past. I'm not with freezing temperatures and frostbitten and snot running out your nose and sniffling and nah. I'm about being closer to the climate and environment of my ancestors. My family's from Puerto Rico. The weather in Puerto Rico is normally 85 or higher to 65 or higher at night. Warm all the time. My African ancestors were from a warm climate and environment. From Nigeria, the Yoruba tribe, from the Mabuti of the Congo tribe, okay, and from the Akan tribe of Ghana. Warm weather year round. Now, with that cold stuff, the reason I bring that up is because health, especially for melanated people, your health is better suited for warmer climates than colder climates. It's been proven that more melanated people are more vitamin deficient up north, northern states, Canada, country of Canada, than they are in the southern parts of the states to the Caribbean and South America. Go figure. That's because as a melanated person, you need extra amount of hours in the sun to produce sufficient levels of vitamin D, which is necessary for your health. So, as you all are freezing, I'm out here working out, walking in the park, exercising, going to the gym, nonstop, no hesitation, no disruptions. So find your way somewhere warmer. I ain't telling all of y'all to leave because you have lives, children, whatever. But if you've ever had an inkling and you've had this voice inside you saying move south, could be that your ancestors are telling you to come home or closer to home where you're from. Florida, this environment here is a lot like the Caribbean. So I feel closer to home being that my family's from Puerto Rico and has a Caribbean culture. Albeit Spanish-speaking Caribbean culture is still very similar to other Caribbean cultures. I'm a person that has always embraced the Caribbean culture, whether it's Puerto Rican, Cuban, Dominican, Haitian, Jamaican, Trinidadian, Barbadian, or Bayesian, as they say, from St. Cruz or St. Croix, which is Crucians, St. Lucia or from St. Lucia, Antigua, Curacao. I embrace all those cultures in the Caribbean community because they're very similar to mine. The food is similar. The rice and or arroz con gandules, which is very similar to rice and peas. The spices are very similar. The drinks, parcha or passion fruit, and are very similar. Our mangoes, coconuts, very similar. All a part of my culture. So I embrace that. This is why I came to Florida, because there's a lot of Caribbean people here and it's closer to the Caribbean environment. I love my African American brothers and sisters. I grew up around y'all as well. And I embrace them as if you're my own. Because as a Puerto Rican, I have African descendancy. And I make no separation between those African descendancies wherever the boat dropped you off due to a slave trade, or whether you were here before slave trade. I don't separate. Now, some of y'all may do that. That's your personal choice. However, I embrace that. And what I found is when we're in our natural environment, as melanated people, we perform better mentally, physically, spiritually, sexually. We perform better because we're more connected to our natural environment. So I'm going to leave y'all with those thoughts. If you have any questions, hit me up at darkoccultist99@outlook.com. It'll also be below. In regards to this or any books I've used in these videos, sometimes I forget to mention the book or the title. I'll go back and let you know what books or titles I use, as well as from my experiences. This is what most of these videos are based on. I'll use books as a reference for you to go research and get your own understanding of things. But a lot of what I share also is from experiences and walking many different paths. Tantric sex magic path has been there for years. And it's one of the main center points of my vampiric sorcery is sex magic, practicing that. So, again, if you have any questions, hit me up. I was asked by another individual, I'm going to address this real quick. They asked me recently, what is my preference or type of female that I like? Well, I'll put it this way. I don't have a type. Never have had a type. I just love black women overall. But I've dated mostly Jamaican women, Trinidadian woman, Haitian woman, Puerto Rican woman, Dominican woman, and African American woman. That's what I've dated the most of in my life. That is what I'm attracted to, and that's not ever going to change. I see it as a part of myself. I do not think, and I don't get how people do this, that dating a black woman as a Puerto Rican man is interracial dating. How is that possible when a large majority of my DNA is African? So regardless if I'm mixed, a large percentage of my DNA is African. So I'm not interracially dating. That's a part of my race. It's the same race as mine. I may be mixed with Taino, indigenous. Some African Americans are mixed with Choctaw and Cherokee, Blackfoot, still Native American. Some of y'all have European ancestry, albeit Northern European. I have Southern European from Spain who came from the southern part of Spain, Andalusia, which were already mixed with Moors, and from Canary Islands. Still European. Same family, just variations of the same family. I find that when I'm with a melanated woman, whether she's Afro-Latina, whether she is African-American, Jamaican, whatever, it is almost like it's activating a deeper part of my African DNA and making it come even more alive and stronger. It's not like some people who want to fetishize black and Latino men and women. Like it's a fetish for some people to be with a black woman or a black man or a Latino man or a Latino woman. It's a fetish to them. Like we're a sexual object, just a sexual creature. No. To me, it's deeper. It's emotional level. It's a conscious level and a spiritual level connection when me, as a person of African descent, gets with another person of African descent from whatever various tribe, nationality, origin. It's like it's activating that African part of myself even stronger. So that answers some of y'all questions that have asked me these things before. Now you understand, right? This is what my main attraction has always been and will always be. It's not going to change. It's not something that just happened recently and oh my God, I just love black women and I'm just going to fetishize them. Bullcrap. Listen, dude, since I was 11 years old, the first woman I ever talked to, dated, or whatever, she was actually Jamaican, but she was a black woman. And ever since then, that's all I've rolled with. Okay? My grandmother is a African Puerto Rican woman. My dad tends to be, in today's definition, a mulatto. However, he is of African descent. My mom happens to be more mixed with Taino, Spaniard, and African. Okay? That's what makes me up. And I don't see a difference between us. If you do, maybe you ain't investigated into Puerto Rican culture, Cuban culture, Dominican culture. Maybe you haven't investigated into, the Jamaican culture and different cultures like that. If you still, as an African American, separate, maybe you need to investigate a little further to see that our music is African in origin. Our drums are African in origin. Many of the words we use are African in origin. Many of the foods that are prepared are African in origin. Then you will not possibly separate so much as people tend to do today. Anyways, let me let y'all go. Peace out. Vana Noon, Dark Cultist,